Shaken. Confused.
EA has been on every gamer's shit list for a while now, winning the award for the worst company of America twice in a row, sued over broken and half-assed games, and making headlines over gambling in video games. With such a crappy track record, should Disney revoke EA's license to make future Star Wars games? Well, today, we're going to talk about Star Wars, EA, and definitely answer that question. EA is infamous for its history of releasing broken, underperforming games. Whether it's the broken upon release Battlefield 4 or the not-so-fan-favorite Mass Effect Andromeda, people, rightfully, are tired of EA's lack of consumer welfare. Point at any recent EA game and you'll more than likely run into any one of the following: questionable DLC and Season Pass practices, horrific performance and optimization, shady micro-gambling systems, an intolerance for ethical video game development, including twisting and ruining long-loved intellectual property, and an emphasis for generating a secure foothold for the future of a game instead of making the actual present game the best it could possibly be. Definitely a crime. But then there is Star Wars. The Star Wars phenomenon holds a special place in the hearts of many people, and that's the big problem. We grew up watching great Star Wars movies and playing shitty Star Wars games. For a long time, Star Wars games were nothing more than a corporate cash-in released in tandem with their movie schedules. Rogue Squadron did prove otherwise, but for the most part, people have been begging for a chance to take control of a very good Star Wars game in the modern age. The original Battlefront games were published by LucasArts, and the gaming community does hold them in very high regard. Not just in memory, they were a very specific type of game. A mix of epic space combat, teamwork, and shooting. You can't find a game like this anywhere else on the market, and with its sequel a year later, it was basically heaven for the Star Wars fan. Its most immersive mode was, of course, Galactic Conquest, such a cool mode, a match that spanned several planets and galaxies as the player delved into major battles across different eras of Star Wars. So cool, but of course, we don't see that in modern Star Wars Battlefront games, and there's a reason for that. 7 years later of that point, LucasArts would be purchased by Disney alongside the property of Star Wars. 1 year later, they would sell those rights to Electronic Arts, who would go on to develop the next Battlefront games. We got our first chance to see the new Star Wars game in 2015, and the trailer did not disappoint. The pre-release buzz was simple and it was to the point. This was the next evolution of Battlefront, propelled into the future by the amazing technology of those behind the Battlefield franchise. Hopes were definitely high. But EA's spin on Star Wars took a strange turn for the worst. Once a tactical shooting game with an amazing amount of depth of skill and gameplay was reduced to the masses. It became the next Call of Duty, a hold down the trigger run and gun deathmatch game. It dazzled in the cleanest, most next level graphics and technology. Quite literally, it did blow my mind the first time I saw how realistic the game actually looked and played. Unfortunately, for anyone looking for a meaningful gameplay experience, the rest was pure panter. It was a spray fest with a lack of any recoil, stuffed with a cheesy coin pickup power-up system to satisfy the masses, and there was just no skill involved anywhere. No single-player campaign, no story, no substance, no nothing. And to make things worse, EA did introduce power items with the pre-release package and sold the Han Solo gun, which basically two-tap killed everyone and broke the weapon balance in the game for those who wanted to pay a little bit more money. Let's just say people did not like 2015's Battlefront. As if the shady business practices couldn't get any worse, the next Battlefront game took micro-gambling to the next level. It brought back the awful saber combat that needed a revamp, it tacked on a lifeless story, and failed to bring back Galactic Conquest once again. It was a fully priced, pay-to-win gambling simulator with its only saving grace being a rehaul of the power system, but that was not enough. And EA fans were pissed. EA had taken microgambling and manipulative game design to a far more malicious place than it had ever been before, and then they tried to justify it and retort. But the damage had been done. Shortly after, Disney stepped in and basically dropped the kibosh on them, their relationship currently unknown yet definitely icy. Should behavior such as this be punished, and if so, to what degree? Public opinion currently says that EA should definitely lose a license based off of this unethical and shady business practice, especially since this was just the tip of the iceberg for EA. It has been very well documented that EA is no longer supporting the practices of several gaming styles that many people love, including single-player games, standalone video games without DLC, and games of platforming and adventure genres. They are very public with it, and you can read all about their future plans and opinions on what's profitable in transcriptions like these. But it's funny because adventure is the heart of Star Wars, everybody knows that. So why restrict the property to such limited game design? When EA shut down Visceral Game Studio, they didn't just destroy the dream of the single-player action-adventure Star Wars game, but the creative, interesting, and niche Star Wars video game as a whole. Doing an off-the-cuff game isn't something EA wants to do, it would rather maximize every single video game dollar potential. Because frankly, you can only generate so much money from a game that attracts a very specific audience and one with a one-and-done single-player launch. Let's not forget that this game looked truly new, blending the cover-based Uncharted-ish gameplay with stealth in a very dark setting. We don't get very serious games like this often from EA, as they do pander to the system of mass appeal, which does restrict them from doing anything incredibly unique or risky. So do we really want to support that attitude for Star Wars, when in fact there are absolutely no limits on what could be done with this amazing IP? Star Wars is an ever-expanding universe with comics, novels, and films aplenty. Why not explore some of that potential? For the gaming industry, this can mean a change in the way video games are developed. Budgets for AAA games have shot up, and developers are scrambling to increase profits. Microtransactions, especially those that affect gameplay, can quickly raise millions of dollars in profits with really no cost on the developer's end. If you want proof of that, consider Ubisoft's quarterly reports, wherein they reported that microtransactions in their games have eclipsed digital video game sales, and that is unbelievable. There is no end to how much time companies spend thinking about this, or how many models, spreadsheets, or data extractions they explore to pinpoint the most profitable way of making a video game. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was made with this mentality, and with it comes the fear that the trend will only continue. I want to be caught up in the magic of an authentic, creative, and interesting new Star Wars game that isn't held hostage by conventional live gaming development standards. We know that EA can make great video games, but I do believe them to be the company in 2018 that refuses to put the gamer first, which will impact the quality of their future Star Wars games. As of right now, I think most serious players would agree that Disney should allow another studio a shot for the Star Wars IP, whether it's a shooter, an RPG, a strategy game, or the next Battlefront game. Would you guys agree, and if so, who would that be? Let me know in the comment section below. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and thumbs it up, and if you did not, you can thumbs the video down as well. Have a great day, and we'll see you in our next video.